Good morning and welcome to the show. My name is Sean Smith.
And my name is Prescott Phillips, and this is Brew City Bug Talk.
Hello, welcome back to the show. How's it going today, Prescott?
Well, we're doing it a different way this time. This is going to be wild. Hopefully it works out.
So how's it going? What's new? What's happening? What's exciting?
What exciting today was in less than a week I'll be headed to Florida, which is great because today it's -5 degrees. So I'm looking forward to getting out of here and helping Chuck and the rest of the guys down in Florida with their Volkswagens.
Who's all going with your group? Like, is it Chuck's family? And
it's just Fryer Racing.
Okay.
Me, Chuck, his wife, and his son.
Has he done any last minute modifications to his car?
No, I think he's just sweating over nothing for now for a whole week.
Have you been knocking him off the ledge?
It's like we're all good. I'm sure he's like always, I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But he's not forgetting anything. Even if he does, it's not going to be detrimental to our progress. So
yeah, I think
we're going to have a good time. Yeah. So
that's
going to be wild.
Has he done any test runs with the new setup?
No, up and down the street.
Oh, okay. Well, on the street, I mean, that's something though.
Yeah, the street in front of his house is pretty wide open. He can do pretty much whatever he wants in a straight line. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be awesome. Hopefully we can do this here. As our viewers can see, we're trying something new here. We're using a different method of recording here, I guess you'd say. So hopefully this works out good, and then we can use it in the future. And then maybe when you're down in Florida, we can have you pop in and we can do a stream and kind of give us an update of what's happening.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. If this works down in Florida, then it's going to be I'll bring my laptop along and we'll talk every day probably.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Give you updates and tell you who's in and who's out and what happened and who broke down and all the good stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
So this weekend you're going to do something else though.
I might go down there just to watch the event. So past weekend, if any of you guys have been paying attention, I posted some videos about it. I went ice racing for the first time with me and my buddy Tommy. He's got a 71 Carmen Ghia all set up for ice racing. So we went out there for the weekend. I got to do my first time ice racing ever. It was pretty awesome. I posted a bunch of videos about it. Really cool. Check them out there on our YouTube. They are doing it again this weekend. I have my son, so I won't be going down there. I thought about maybe hopping in the car and going down there and shoot some video of it, but it's going to be cold.
No, it's not supposed to be that bad.
Yeah, but
today and yesterday,
too cold for my son to be on the ice because he
just put him in the car. You're going to sit in the car all the time, anyways.
Yeah, that don't work.
You should go. Yeah, Steve Hansen said he was going to go up there. He's his cabin's on the lake, so he said he was going to go check it out. They're going to have plenty of ice. They're going to have 12 inches of ice, easy.
Yeah, it'll be a good time for sure. Like we got a blast over the weekend, so I don't see why they wouldn't have a good time there. It doesn't sound like doesn't sound like it's organized as well as the other event that we just went to.
No, the WAG organization is not as organized as Fox Valley or what's it called, Central
Wisconsin Sports Car Club or something like that is who we went through. Yeah, I asked Tommy if there was a flyer or something that I could post, so if anybody else wanted to go, and he was like, "No, it's just kind of word of mouth thing." So
yeah, they don't even make an event on Facebook. It's pretty weak.
Okay, I mean, whatever. I mean, if they get out there and it's fun, then cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So what do we have going on today? Who do we have on the show?
Today we have a couple special guests all the way from Texas, and they're going to talk about the upcoming event.
So we have
Jason
Poynter from
Jason Poynter and Clint Cox.
I just said that. You're just repeating. I just said, hello, and welcome to the show. How you guys doing today?
Good. Howdy, what's up, man? Doing good.
Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and introduce you first, Clint, since, like I said, you're at the top of my list. Who are you and why are you here?
I'm Clint Cox.
Why are you here?
I'm here to talk about our race. But a little background about me, just, born and raised down here, Fort Worth area. You guys talking about ice racing a minute ago, just like I was already freezing thinking about it. So I prefer to sweat in my race car.
Yeah.
But yeah, just my dad. My dad was into Volkswagens. He's known. Jason's known my dad forever. He's never was a drag racer, but into off-road racing and just building show cars and swap. He did a lot of swap meet stuff, and then so it was I was stuck with it, I guess.
So was that your first introduction to Volkswagen? Was through your father?
Yeah. So he had me going to the bug in at Ennis at the Motorplex. When I was 5-6 years old. So we would just, he'd buy us a couple Hot Wheels and we'd just terrorize the whole property.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
when you get introduced to it early on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, to see the progression is cool. And my first bug was a 64 bug. We called it the dirty car. It sat out in the back of our place under an awning and just was covered in dust from being out there at his place. And so when we got it running, we just, wiped the spots for the windshield wipers and cleaned the spots so you could see out of the back window through the rearview mirror. And we never washed it. So that's how we drove it. Just
was it all stock or was it
all bone stock, 40 horse stock height?
That's what that's actually what I drive during the summer. I got a 1964 Beetle. It's got the original 6 volts, 40 horse,
Right.
Well, it had it until I blew it up this year, but that's a whole nother story.
That's what I raced, a 63 in the bracket class.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the fastest car out there.
Jason. So welcome to the show, Jason. You want to give us a little bit of a background on who you are and what got you
on this here? Well, Jason Poynter. I've been in Volkswagens probably since I was about 16. I mostly race in the pro stock class. I've been doing that since about 97, 98, probably. And now I'm in the promoter part of it.
Yeah, much longer than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yep. I think I was in elementary school in 98.
We have somebody that's longer than you. That's pretty crazy. So what would you say? What was your first vehicle, or what got you into Volkswagens?
Actually, what got me into Volkswagens where I lived was out there by Green Valley Raceway when they had the first bug-ins was out of Green Valley Raceway in North Richland Hills, and they used to always go by the house. And now I think that was in about 84, 85.
85, 86.
85, 86.
Both of you guys mentioned bug-ins. Let my listeners know, or the people watching know, what's the bug-in? Can you give me a little background on that?
It was basically the events that we have nowadays, but that's what they called them, bug-in and bug-outs.
Okay.
They'd have twice a year. It just...
It was a big car show, drag race, swap meet.
Was it always at the same spot, same people running it, or different spots?
Yeah,
the first two were at Green Valley, and then when Green Valley was closing, they moved them to the Motorplex, the Texas Motorplex in Ennis.
And I think that they were there for almost 30 years. They were doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so this is still going on to this day, or it's evolved into what you guys are doing?
Yeah, it sort of died out, and now we've kind of evolved back into what we're doing.
Okay.
What was it? That's the whole thing. What got us to think doing this is there was nothing going on, so it was like we want to race.
Yeah, you had some local guys that were still going to like V8 races and bracket racing and stuff, but the pro stock stuff was just, Jason was traveling to the East Coast to race, but there was nothing here, no normal Volkswagen drag racing here. It completely died off. And me and my buddy started building cars, bigger motors and stuff, and we were racing each other on the street. And I said, man, I kind of like to do a bigger event. And so I reached out to some of the guys that ran the TVWDRA here, Texas Volkswagen Drag Racing Association. I reached out to everybody that was a president that I knew was still alive and said, hey, I kind of want to use that name since you guys already have a established logo and a name and stuff. People kind of know it. Can I use that to promote a Volkswagen drag race? And they were all like, hell yeah, let's do that because we want to race again. And so right before COVID, we had our race, the first one, and I only had 2 classes. It was just a street bracket and a pro bracket, and we had like 55 cars show up.
So let me pause you there. Was this the first Texas versus the world? Is that what you're talking about here?
No, so that was just.
Oh, this was the second.
No, that was just a race just to see if we could get racing back. Just see how many cars we could get out. And some of the people I had talked about, the goal ultimately was let's get the racing established and then we'll add a car show and a swap meet because car shows and swap meets are everywhere down here. Every club wants to have a show. There's big shows and swap meets, but there was no racing. So let's establish the racing and then we'll try to add the car show and the swap meet. And so I did that race. And then the next one we did was that same year, kind of after COVID died off a little and the tracks opened back up. And then Jason we added the Pro Stocks to that event. And there was like 70 or 80 cars at that one.
Wow.
And so then, we talked about it and was like, okay, let's do the bug in. That was our goal. So we called it the bug in. And that was kind of a problem because they have the bug in California and, they didn't want to get it mixed up. Well, then anyway, we did that. And then we were going to have the bug out at the end of the year, which then I got threatened to get sued by the guy who owned the rights to the bug out on the East Coast. And so I changed the name for it. And then finally me and Jason talked about it like, man, all these people have problems with whatever we name our race. We know it's in Texas. Like, it seems like the whole world is against us at this point, and we were talking about it. I said, let's sit down and come up with a name. So that's where Texas versus the world came from, since it seemed like nobody wanted to see it succeed because they had racing everywhere else. And we said, well, we'll just call it Texas versus the world, which works both ways. It's like, we felt like they were against us, and at the same time, we're going to call out everybody and, see if we can drum up some ego to come out, and it worked.
So what year was this that you officially kicked off Texas versus the world?
2023.
2023. Okay. So this year will be your third year?
This will be the third year.
Okay.
And the first year, we gave out over $45,000 in prize money.
Really?
Yeah.
Which officially made it the highest paying Volkswagen drag race in history.
Wow.
How many classes were there?
That one we had
6.
We had 5. We had 6 classes because we didn't have the Bandit class then. We had Extreme.
No, we had SSVX.
Oh, that's right. We had 7 classes. And
Yeah, so on the pro side, we had Outlaw, Pro Stock, SSVX,
and Extreme, but they only had 2 cars.
and Extreme. Yeah, Extreme. Yeah.
And
Now,
Extreme is kind of like what Scott is doing.
Is there enough SSVX cars to have a class?
No.
No, not really. I mean, that was the problem. I mean, it's for the guys that have a Volkswagen motor in the front and they have a power glide and a 9-inch, and it's like trying to fit them in to let everybody, But yeah, there's not enough for cars like that right now in this area.
But that was for the Extreme class.
Right. Yeah.
He was asking about the SSVX, which we didn't have many for that either.
We ended up having 3 cars show up for that class.
Yeah.
And then
That's more than that last race.
and then David Starks
They only had
was
2
in that.
there.
he ended up moving over and running in pro stock too after the SSVX class was over with.
Okay.
So he ran both classes. So we had about,
right.
I had, yeah, he doubled up. He went a couple rounds in pro stock. I think we had 19 pro stocks show up and either 19 or 20 outlaw cars.
Yeah, I want to say it was between 18 and 20 outlaw cars, which was wild.
Now we're still talking about year one, the first year of
the first year.
Year one.
Now, with that year, did you guys just promote it, or did you guys have cars that you were racing in?
Both.
Both. Okay. What? Give me a breakdown of what car you were racing.
I didn't get a race.
You didn't get a race?
I was too busy.
Okay.
I mean, I had somebody racing my cars for me, but I didn't get to race.
You had multiple cars in the event?
I got a couple.
Has a whole fleet of cars.
Okay, hold on. Let's break this down. How many cars do you have that are currently or that were at this first event?
2 at the first event, 2 pro stocks.
And what were they?
One's a new Beetle and one's a Volkswagen Bug.
Okay.
It used to. So now I have 3 cars. I have a new Beetle.
We'll get to the. I want to get the details on the original the Bug at the first event.
So I own. It used to be called Haley's Comet. It's a new style Beetle built by Jimmy Larson.
Okay.
And it was owned by John Sternard. And I ended up buying it from him. I had that car there, and he drove that car. And then I had the previous old Autocraft car. That was a Jack Cicchetti's car built by Jimmy Larson. And I had somebody else driving it.
Okay. And that's
because I was just that was the Bug.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was way too busy running around trying to do things.
I can't imagine how busy you were.
No, I wasn't. I was busy.
And
so at the first race, I took my street car and entered it in pro stock.
And what was that?
It's a 60 model Bug with a 2110. I mean, it full interior, like had bumpers on it. But I did it to kind of help build the class.
Yep.
But also just to kind of ruffle some feathers a little bit. So in order to race that class, though, Jason made me drain my fuel out and switch it to the C14 or whatever it is, the high octane race fuel that you have to, and weigh the car and everything. Which is funny because when I'd come across the scale, the guy at the end of the track was like, 2,000 pounds? Like, because pro stock is a 13.
Tell him you got a 3-liter motor in that thing.
Yeah.
It's a 9 pound per cubic inch.
Yeah, I made it. Yeah. I made it to the 60-foot mark before my pro stock days were over. So I raced against I forget his name, from California, and by the time we got to the 60-foot, I was just watching the whole back of his car all the way down the track. So.
Oh man!
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
I raced in the pro bracket class and the street bracket class that day also.
Okay.
So.
All right, so let's move on to year 2. What happened with year 2? How many cars did you bring this time, Jason?
I brought only brought 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was going to race it.
Was or did?
I was, but it wouldn't start for some reason. But it was sort of weird is it wouldn't start at the racetrack. The next day or that weekend, we got it out of the trailer and it fired right up. So it was like it was meant not to race. So I don't know.
Which car was this? Was this
the new Beetle?
Okay.
The new Beetle, yeah.
Gotcha.
So
new Beetle.
But go up with the same vehicle or?
I showed up with the same car. This time I had it no interior and outfitted with the carbon fiber from Richie Webb and
no bumpers.
No bumpers, and red lit in the first round in both classes, and said, "You know what? I'm done. I'm out." I think I'd slept about 2.5 hours all weekend, and by the time we got to the racing, I couldn't focus on the tree. The lights were blurry, and I said, I'll just watch.
It is very tough to run an event and race it. Let me tell you.
I have a driver for this year.
So now,
yeah, I got drivers.
Yeah.
When you guys are building out these events, like how far do you plan? Like when do you start planning for next year?
The day after we finish the race.
Really? Like legitimately you sit down with each other and you're like, all right, this is when we're good. And this is what we need to do for next year.
Some of it happens at the race. We'll go talk to the sponsors like, hey, what do you think? Did you like what you saw? And if they say, yeah, we're like, okay, you ready for next year? Like, let's go ahead and lock that in now,
Oh yeah.
What's funny is if before it starts on Friday, me and Clint are like, oh my God, it's almost over. It's almost over. We'll get there and we're done. And then Sunday morning, it's like, okay, you ready to start again? It's like, okay.
Usually you ask me about Saturday afternoon. I'm like, I don't ever want to do another one of these ever again. This is the worst idea ever.
Exactly what Prescott says about his Dragon Drive events. He's like, in the middle of it, you're like, I never want to do this. And by the end of it, he's like, you're going to sign up for next year.
Oh, yeah.
So when we did it, in 23, when we did it in 23, we didn't know how many cars were coming. We had a kind of an idea of who was coming from far. But when we have a gambler's bracket race and some qualifying and stuff on Friday night, but I opted to just leave my car in the trailer just so I could kind of check out what was going on. And, me and Jason were riding through the pits on the golf cart, and I'm like, dude, this is wild. Like, these are cars I've only seen on YouTube or read in the magazines, and now they're here. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 of them, it was a whole row of all these pro stock and outlaw cars that are, the top of the line cars in the country, and some out of the country that are here, at our event. And I'm like, this is awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, that's an awesome feeling. Like when you get that and you see that happen, that's gotta be so cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially when I've been in it so long, and for 19 cars to show up, I mean, like Prescott, that's incredible to see. If you go to a race and 19 pro stock
race for
that,
yeah, absolutely. I think the most I've ever seen at a pro stock race is 9 cars, and luckily one broke, so it made a full field. But man, that's incredible to have that many pro stocks.
And in 23, I think the total car count, I think in 23, the total drag car count was in the 130s. And then,
holy smokes.
And then 24 was like 146 or 147. And, me and Jason were talking on the phone last night, and I said, I'm thinking 180, this year. And he said, I think we'll have 200.
Holy smokes.
Actually, give me the whole breakdown. Like, so do you have like a car show going on? Do you guys have entertainment?
Because you added a class or two.
Yeah. So I'll let Jason talk about his part, but so we open the gate Friday night and we'll do some racing Friday night. I have a class called Gangster 165, which is basically the only rules are it has to be manually shifted. It has to be rear engine air cooled, and the rear tire has to be a stock 165. Like what came on them from the factory. And so no slicks or drag radials. It's got to be a 165 street tire. And that's the only rules. So we have cars, like Cody Alvey with his chop top turbo pro mod car, and he throws a 165 on the back, and it is so fun to watch. I mean, you're just like fingers crossed until they get to the trap because they're skating. And XRP has some of the best track prep in the country, and these guys are skating down the racetrack. And then so we'll do some qualifying and a gambler's race Friday night, and then Saturday we open the gate at 8 a.m. and start swap meet and car show. Okay. And we do a big raffle, and we have vendors and stuff. And then we don't start racing until like 3 PM after we do the car show awards.
Oh, wow.
So it gives everybody time to fix their stuff they broke Friday night. The racers now can go check out the car show,
Right.
barista the swap meet.
So-
It's a little
So then
a little more laid back. And then the cool thing is once the car show guys and the swap meet, they pack all their stuff up. Now they can get in the stands and watch us race.
right.
You have
Right.
something you want to say,
So
Chris?
it's kind of it's kind of like Scott Sain's drag night, where the racing is later in the day, and
Right.
there's
Yes.
a lot of socializing during the
And
daylight hours.
yeah, and a lot of that is just like I'm so busy and Jason's so busy during the day trying to organize everything that it gives us time to get everything done. But at the same time, it's the weather in September in Texas could be 60 degrees or it could be 110. And last year it happened to be like 98 or 99. So the track temp was 130 degrees. So we ended up pushing it back for safety, just keep the cars off the slick drag strip and not burn everybody up in the in the staging lanes.
I know I asked you, but how many different classes are there in this event? Like if you had a number wise, like
There's 7. There's 6 classes on Saturday, and there's 7 total because we do the 165 race Friday night.
Okay. And now all these classes are usually, like you said, they're full of cars. I mean, you got over 100.
I'm gonna find some 165s to put on my pro stock.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Does it matter how many 165s can I put dualies on with 165s?
I don't know if that would work, but it would be fun to watch you go down the track on a 165 in a pro stock car.
It's very interesting watching guys.
So we do.
I'll do it if Jason does it.
I'll talk about my classes and then Jason can talk about his. So I handle more the bracket side. We have the Pro VW bracket, which is more like your, kind of like the East Coast does. They call it Super Pro, except we run no delay boxes. So it's kind of your faster bracket cars.
Okay. What's
An index?
box? Thank you. I had a brain fart. What's a delay box?
What's
So
what's the time
delay
break
box.
on that class?
So the delay box is just a electronic device you put in your car, and you can set the delay from the time you let go of the button in your car till the time your car moves, and it controls the clutch for you. So we don't allow that. Everybody, it's a sportsman tree, so it's a full 5/10 sportsman tree, and we race. We call it bottom bulb. You're trying to just cut a light.
Okay.
Versus using the delay box.
Okay.
So that class is $8.99 and quicker in the 8th mile, and you can run slicks and wheelie bars, basically race cars, but some street cars enter it too as long as they can go faster than $8.99. And then we have the street VW bracket, which is just it has to be on a DOT tire, so you can run drag radials. As long as they're street legal, no wheelie bars. And that's pretty much the only difference there. And there's no ET cutoff on that. So we have cars, some of the street cars will run mid 7s, and then you have Jason and his stock 63 Bug that runs mid 14s.
Everybody can have some fun.
Nice.
We do a Ladybug class, which is just females. So it's anything that's Volkswagen powered, water cooled or air cooled, and it's just a straight up bracket race. It's all ladies.
That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah.
And last year we had like 21 ladies in that class.
Hell yeah.
So
That's pretty awesome. Now this race, is this all East Coast PRA racing sanctioned events or something like that?
So
On the pro stock side, yes.
Okay.
we do
So
the
we go-
ECPRA rules.
Yeah, we use the ECPRA rules. So I do the pro side, which is Outlaw, Pro Stock, and Bandits. Bandits is a new class we added last year, which is basically like a 94 bore class. But if you run turbo or nitrous, you have to run on a 6-inch slick.
Okay.
If you're naturally aspirated, you can run as big a tire you want to try to even out the field.
And naturally aspirated cars are not limited to 94 bore either. Just the power adder cars.
Oh, wow.
Just the power adder classes. And then we got Pro Stock, which is 9 pounds per cubic inch, and people don't realize if you don't have a pan car, you could still run it if you got a big enough motor and it weighs what you want, you can still run it in a pan car. Doesn't have to be a chassis car. And then we got Outlaw, which is basically VW trans, VW engine in the rear, and run what you brung. Hope you brought enough. And all the classes, there is no cutoff on, like, we're only going to take 8 cars or 16 cars. If you show up, you're racing. Nobody's going home without racing.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so when we did in 23, we had 19 Pro Stock cars. We ran them on a Pro ladder, and we ran every car.
Wow.
Yeah.
How late did the race go?
Till about 3 in the morning.
Last year we finished at
I remember
like 12. Last year we finished at like 12, 15.
Okay.
No, that was closer to 2 because we had the problem with
Oh, that's right.
the track. They had a sensor or something go bad. But in 23, we paid out $15,000 the person Pro Stock, and was $10,000 in Outlaw. This year, it's already posted. It's a guaranteed $20,000 in Pro Stock and $20,000 in Outlaw. And right now, the Bandit class is at $10,000, and we're trying to get it to $15,000. So we'll be at $55,000 in just 3 classes, which is crazy.
So are you going down there, Prescott? Is that the plan? Are you asleep?
Yeah, that is the plan. We're going. No, I'm taking this all.
You get excited over hearing how much money you got the chance to win?
Yeah, so
he was
Stock,
well, yeah,
$20,000 purse. It's $10,000 to win Pro Stock and Outlaw.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know what, Prescott? I have been to a lot of races.
I get the full payout.
Yeah. He has won more races going 670 than anybody I know.
Attrition.
And if anybody ever says,
I'm usually the first round of qualifying, I'm number 1 qualifier too.
and if anybody ever says, I'm not fast enough, I say, you know what? You go look at Prescott Phillips, and he'll prove to you it's not always the fastest car that wins.
No.
Am I correct?
No, I've beat the number 1 qualifier in the finals.
I mean,
you
cut a good light, and you can run your car.
I'll never forget what the announcer said.
Yeah. If you cut a good light and
I don't
can
think
make
I've ever
every
lined
round
up for you, Jason. Though.
You've got a pretty good chance at winning because I've figured out the Pro Stock attrition rate is pretty low.
Yeah. Some of them are.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, and everybody before I started racing Pro Stock, I was leery about doing it because it's so and Gene Collier, he is the guy that convinced me to do it. He goes, listen, all you need to do is make it from A to B half the time. These guys, and you can cut a light. All you gotta do is cut a light on them, hit all the gears, and you got a fighter's chance of beating them. And I'm like, you're full of it, And one of the first races, it wasn't my first race, but one of my first races, I raced. But it was the best compliment I ever got was from Siegfried and Bly. They come up to me and they said, listen, we've been trying to win one of these races for 10 years. And you in your first couple races already won a race. That's amazing. And for me, that was the best compliment I ever got. Those guys, Siegfried and Bly, those guys were, icons, right?
Yeah, record holders from up north.
Iconic car. and me and congratulate me. I mean, I'm like, well, I'm going to stick with this, I guess. I'm pretty good at it. So yeah, it was amazing. But yeah, I love Pro Stock.
Yeah, and you get 20 cars together. The nutrition, those cars got to go a lot of rounds.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm used to bracket racing, so I'm used to going rounds.
Right,
and it's the second, third round is the final already. It's amazing. It's like, this is easy. I mean, usually it's the seventh or eighth round. Looking at the finals.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you bring a bracket,
if
you bring a bracket car down this year, we'll probably go 7 or 8 rounds because there'll be about 50 cars in each bracket class.
Now we do have one special class.
2.
Okay, well, I know of one. I don't know the second one right off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
We have a class for the kids. They come and they run their little electric cars. What is it? Power Wheels?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually got them. They ran on the track. We use the lights. It comes down and they go 60 foot. The first one of the 60 foot.
Are these modified Power Wheels, or are they just?
They have a modified class and a stock class.
That is for.
And we did it. We've done it last 2 years, and everybody that ran last year gets put in a raffle for this year, and we're giving away a junior dragster this year for the Power Wheels class.
Holy cow!
Yeah, so everybody that enters this year gets put in the raffle and in the drawing, and everybody that entered last year gets put in the drawing. So some of these kids will have their name in there twice. And then we're going to give away a turnkey junior dragster at this event this year.
Well, that's kind of a good segue into what is this giveaway car? Is that the giveaway car that was brought up?
No.
So what is this giveaway car that you guys do at the event? Kind of give me
Normally we don't give away a car. This was just a car that I built for some friends of mine. They contacted me a week or 2 ago and said, "Hey, you want to buy this car back?" And I was like, "Well, I guess, but it's a nice car, I mean, pan off. The only thing I didn't do was paint the car. The full interior, the suspension, the pan, everything's done. I mean, it's, narrowed beam, disc brakes.
What year? Give me a description of the car. What is it?
It's a 66 Bug. So the outside just all stock looking. It's lowered, narrowed beam, disc brakes. The rear is got the 3-inch drop plates. It's got a Pro Street transmission. The interior's we put the headliner in and then did all the high end, like the deluxe TMI carpet, in there. And then their high end seat covers. And then she had taken the back seat and cut it apart and sewed in Louis Vuitton. So the back seat is covered in Louis Vuitton material. And like the B-pillar grab handles are real Louis Vuitton handbag handles. It's just a cool little car. And so I bought it and, I could have probably flipped it and just made some quick money and, went about it. And I'm like, I'll sell tickets for $10 a piece, and somebody that may only have $10 can win the car versus somebody that's $10,000.
That is cool.
So it's a little bit more work for me.
I'm going to buy like half the tickets because
it's a little bit more work for me, but now we're going to give the car away at the race. People can buy tickets at the race. You don't have to be present to win. So, if somebody wanted to buy a ticket now, they call me. Send me the money. I fill out the ticket, put it in the box, send them a picture of their ticket and the numbers, and good luck.
You have something lined up in case someone.
I'm gonna buy.
Yeah, they'll have to come get it.
Okay.
But hey, you win a car for $10. I think you'd be happy to drive across country to get it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna buy at least $100 worth of tickets for that car because I love it, and Tell us about those one-off wheels.
Yeah, so
those black wheels.
So he had those made for the car when we were building it, and he bought some wheels from somewhere. He just wanted something very different. but he didn't want to convert the car to like a Chevy pattern. So he took them and had them CNC machined. They opened the hub out bigger for wide 5 and then had them re-drilled for wide 5. So currently they're the only ones like it in the world.
Those are Jegs wheels.
Yeah, I think so. It's the 5-hole. Yeah. But currently they're the only wide 5 ones in the world, I think.
So, yeah, exactly.
I think it'll look cool. Something different.
I love those wheels. I saw them like.
She liked the smoothies because I had sold them a car years ago. Actually, this car that's on my arm, I sold them a car years ago, and it had, custom powder coated with the metal flake in it, and she liked the look of those smoothies. So we put smoothies on it, and I kept the cool wheels, and then I told him he could have the other wheels back for another car that they're doing, and so now we're going to put the cool ones on there and give it away. So not only will you get a car for $10, you'll get a custom set of wheels with it.
Fantastic.
That's really cool. Hell yeah, I love going to these events where they give away a car. I mean, there's nothing cooler than, seriously, like you said, $10 and you could walk away with this awesome car.
Yeah.
Yeah, $10 is cheap. I entered Scott Sane gives away a couple cars at his and drag night I went to in 18. I missed the car by 1 number. I was like, he was like 607. I'm like, I had 605 or 606 or whatever it was. I missed it by that much. I'm like, so mad.
And that's what we've done. We've taken a little bit from each.
I love
each event we go to. We try to see how they do it and what works for them and what works for us, and use a little bit of what works for them. And so
that's kind of how we did the Bandit class. We used JK does the Volks group, and they have like Ultra Pro and Pro. But their pro class is that 94. If it's a power adder, you're 94 on a 6-inch slick. And so we kind of used that and just changed the name of it for us because it's Texas versus the world. So we changed the name, but basically copied their rules. And then some of the other stuff, like if you ever go up to have you ever been to their event in Medford?
No, we talked about going this year though. That's one of the events to get out to.
You have to go. So they do a race up there that is the feel of that race is unlike any race I've ever been to anywhere. Like it's so family. Everything's real tight. Everybody's friendly, and the way they do the food and everything. And then I come back and tell people about it, and they're like, "We should do that." And I said, "No, we should not." Like. You want to experience that? Go to Medford. That's one thing that they do that separates them from everybody else. And I'm not.
Yeah, that was one of the.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Preston.
Yeah, that was the plan this year, was to do a big race, and it was Adam Cockey, Stewart Speed Shop. Adam and Tanner went to the Medford show. He's like, "Dude, you got to go. We're going again." And shout out. And I says, "Yeah, let's do it. I'll do it." But now now your race is like 2 weeks afterwards or something. I'm like, man, I don't think I can do that much traveling.
Yes,
because they're nowhere near each other. It's opposite directions. I have to go.
You can fly. You can fly right into Medford. Just shoot over there, hang out for the weekend, watch the race. It's one of those you don't want to miss. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It's a good event.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get to it because we're looking forward to going.
Yeah, the plan was to take the post
plan. All right, so let's talk about some of the sponsors that you guys have for Texas versus the World. Are there any particular sponsors you want to give a shout out to, or how do you go about getting the sponsors who are coming to this event?
Go by there.
Are these usually local sponsors, or do you have like big names?
We got Hot VW, and some of the big names: Hot VW, Driven Oil, DoomBuggyWarehouse.com, Paradise Motorsports, LAT Oil, Gears Engineering, Pat Downs Performance, Rancho Transmission. I mean, a lot of the big guys, Ron Loomis Racing, and then we have a lot of littler ones, that just help out, like people around here. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
Yeah. So I reached out to Bill. Oh, it's been a while back, from Driven, and said, hey, I understand that y'all are developing an oil for air-cooled Volkswagens, and I think this might have been when it was still doing the Bill Childress thing or something. But I was like, I understand y'all are trying to develop an oil. We do these races down here. I'd love to support it. If you don't want to sponsor, like, I totally get it, but I'd love to, help grow your brand however I can, support, however I can. And he sent down some cases of oil. I guess it was already Driven, because he sent some Driven oil and a couple banners and stuff to give away at a banquet that we did for our Point series. And that was what he did. He sent some oil, and I used it in my car, and I loved it. And so I just wore the shirt, promoted it, and stuff. So when we got ready to do the race last year, I called him and said, hey, would you be interested in sponsoring? And so he came on board as the title sponsor. He's like, look, man, you've supported us and didn't ask for anything. I'd love to support it. So he came on and basically did a 2-year deal. So for last year and this year to be the title sponsor for the race.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And then Jason has the relationships with Doom Buggy Warehouse and Paradise, the Loffers and some of those guys that I didn't know, because I was just a Volkswagen guy, not a drag racer. And so he reached out to those guys, and now,
like Sean Gears builds my motors.
Yeah.
So I use, so I have to use I use LAT oil, but nothing against Driven.
But yeah, I mean, once they kind of see what you do, and how much it's grown, it was hard at first to get sponsors, I'll be honest. But once they kind of see it progress and how much it's grown, the event kind of speaks for itself now, and you can reach out and say, hey, I know you've heard of Texas versus the World. Would you be interested in partnering with us? It's definitely made it easier. And a lot of the guys are return sponsors. They're just, hey, sign us up for next year.
Now, do you have sponsorship packets already set? So if somebody's watching this and they want to reach out to you and they want to become a sponsor for this year's event, do you guys have stuff out there that they can get a hold of?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can message me or Jason, and I have an email for it. It's TXVS the World, so it's Texas versus the World, but Texas isn't spelled out. But it's TXVStheworld@gmail.com, and I can send them any information they need, or they can
send us a message on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, we try to do is just, hey, if you have a question, like as soon as we get off of this, we're going to do a live stream tonight on our event. On our Facebook group, and just basically like, hey, you have a question, ask us. Like, we're not here to lie to you. I'll tell you anything you want to know, except for my social security number. Like, we're a pretty open book,
Well, there won't be much left when you get there, so don't worry about that.
But yeah, so yeah, we have great sponsors, several of them, like I said, returning sponsors. But then I couldn't do this without specifically thanking my wife and Jason, because my wife puts up with hours and hours and hours of phone conversations. And then the people at Extreme Raceway Park, Galen and Celeste and Clyde and Amanda and their whole crew are second to none. That's, y'all come to this track, you'll understand. It's one of the greatest facilities in the country. It is so awesome. And they run a tight ship. But they they've been with us since the beginning. My first race was there, and I'll continue to support them.
And they pretty much told us, if anybody Volkswagen comes in, if it's not you two, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's
then Danielle Bowen is my buddy Chuck's wife, and she does everything. She does the race registration, and she helps fold shirts and sell shirts, and they bring their whole family, and pretty much all of our car club, the Crash Dummies Car Club, all the wives and the moms, my mom and dad, everybody just comes on board and just works their ass off all day long. And we definitely couldn't do it without those people.
That's awesome.
No.
Very cool. Well, why don't we go ahead and why don't you guys give out your information on where people can find you, so when they're watching this and they want to check you guys out, what's all your socials or emails, all that good stuff?
So we have a group page. It's Texas versus the World VW group
on Facebook, right?
On Facebook, and then we have an event page on Facebook. It's Hot VWs Presents Texas versus the World 2025, powered by Driven Racing Oil. And then we have a website, texasversustheworld.com, but it has not. I don't think it's been updated from last year, so okay. I need to get to work on that.
No worries.
Or you can just find me on my page on Jason Poynter on Facebook, or Clint Cox on Facebook, if you can't find those for some reason.
You're frozen. I can't hear a word you're saying, Prescott.
So
say it again.
Yeah, say it again. You froze.
It'll be a good time. Oh, I'm sorry. I said I'm looking forward to this race this year. It's going to be. I'm going to try my hardest to go, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's just too much,
I'll do my best to drag him down there kicking and screaming. So I'll pressure him.
Yeah, definitely.
If y'all come down,
I got a lot going on this year. It's between the.
You're old.
Between the drag and drive stuff and everything else.
Yeah, if you guys come down this year, you can set up and do the podcast.
Yeah, that's definitely on our on the to-do list for this year, is to get out to these events and
absolutely.
And I gotta give a shout out to all them drag and drive guys. Like, I'm jealous. I don't have my car ready, but good luck to all you fellers, because that takes some pretty big balls to go run your air-cooled car 1,000 miles at 5 racetracks.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for being on the show. I'm gonna go ahead and pull you guys off stage as I do my wrap up here. Like I said, thank you guys for coming here and telling us about your event. We really do.
Thank you for being on the show. I'll
thanks for having us.
In touch with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And anything new comes up, make sure you get a hold of me.
Yes,
cool.
I will.
Just keep us up to date if anything happens.
All right, man.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close it out here. Remember, you guys can reach out to us on Facebook at BrewCityBugTalk, or you can send us an email at bcbugtalk@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, YouTube. This will be aired. This will be live on YouTube in a couple of weeks from here, and we'll go from there. Anything else?
No, that about takes care of it.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night. Peace out.